to the multiverse in MCU was a tough one, and in this video, we have all the betrayals, the struggles, and the sacrifices these superheroes had to make to get where they are now. And even though the destination is the key, the road to it is just as important. Warning, spoilers are incoming. What better way to start things off with the first Avenger, Captain America, a super soldier created during the events of the Second World War, portrayed by Chris Evans. Steve Rogers would go on to face the infamous Hydra Corporation and the leader of the whole organization, the Red Skull, who is after the Tesseract, which we later discover to be one of the 6 Infinity Stones, which would prove to be one of the strongest weapons in the entire universe. The setting tells the story of how Captain America is born, as he serves his country when he needs them the most, his lover Agent Carter, and his sacrifice to save the world from the brink of annihilation. There is a time gap between the two, but set in 1995, we see Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, fall to Earth and begin her encounter with the human race, particularly Nick Fury, who also becomes her closest friend on the planet, from whom she gets help to fight the Skrulls. The nostalgia side of things is there, just from the setting of the movie itself. By the end of the movie, it is discovered that the Skrulls are not all bad. They were just trying to find a place to live after the Kree Empire, where Carol was raised, invaded their home planet, with her whole life turning out to be a lie. Taking place in a newer, more recent time, we have Tony Stark, a genius, inventor, playboy, philanthropist, who, after being captured by a terrorist organization, he is asked to make more of the finest weapons from Stark Industries to help the terrorists gain control in the Middle East. However, Tony has something even more powerful in mind, the first Iron Man suit, which helps him escape and set the tone of the character. First, defeating the bad guys who got a hold of him, and then continue to place Stark Industries on the right course. The Iron Man identity is quickly revealed by Tony himself, who is then questioned about his technology, with the government wanting to get a hold of it. And when Tony refuses to cooperate, another weapons manufacturer shows he is willing to do anything to get their hands on Stark. Black Widow and War Machine are introduced in the meantime, with Natasha Romanoff being sent undercover by Nick Fury to keep an eye on Iron Man, and General Rhodes getting his own suit to deliver the justice the world needs. Moving away from Earth, we see Thor, the god of thunder, getting banished from Asgard and sent to Earth by his father Odin, with everything staged by the trickster himself, Loki, Thor's adopted brother. In order to get his powers back and wield Mjolnir, he must prove he is worthy of the status he will get in the near future, the King of Asgard. On Earth, he meets a nice scientist, Jane Foster, who is willing to help him after the air is cleared out and the entire unknown is out of the way. She helps him set things right before Loki manages to grab hold of the Asgardian throne. The culmination of Phase 1 in the MCU comes with the whole gang being brought together to fight the bigger evil, all the main heroes introduced, who are all in pursuit of finding something daunting that will force them to work together on the matter. The combined power of Loki, the Tesseract, and an alien horde invasion on New York. Probably the perfect way to make our heroes shine as they battle it out to the end, becoming friends in the process, who would go on to be the closest people in each of their lives. 6 months after the New York battle, we see the heroes scarred for life, some more than others. Tony Stark, for example, is still dealing with the memories of the battle that nearly killed him, which leads him to build an army of suits at his disposal so he can always be prepared. However, Aldrich Killian has other plans, an army of his own, super soldiers who will do his bidding. Even Pepper Potts is infected by his program, with the President of the United States also getting captured. However, the army proves beneficial as Tony is able to defeat Killian and end his nightmares. Returning to the cosmic side of things, we have Thor, who has now returned to Asgard after the New York invasion. But he doesn't get any rest as the ancient dark elves return after their defeat by the hand of Odin, a race thought to be extinct. They are back as they are seeking the Ether, a powerful weapon that gives the wielder an extremely big increase in power. The Aether was later revealed to be one of the 6 Infinity Stones, the most powerful gems in the MCU. So, by now, we have 2 Infinity Stones. Keep track, right? Captain America, after the invasion of New York, starts working for S.H.I.E.L.D., a special government organization that excels at extraterrestrial threats. However, as time goes by and more things are getting revealed, he starts to question the motives of the organization. On top of everything, his closest friend returns from the dead and becomes an adversary, the Winter Soldier, who is now brainwashed and does not recognize Steve at all. In the midst of things, the Falcon makes his debut in the MCU and helps Captain America in dealing with everything at the moment, with Natasha Romanoff also present. Moving to more distant worlds, we see a young boy being taken by scavengers from Earth, where he goes on to become Star-Lord. Peter Quill becomes a rogue scavenger who, in a race against time, forms a group of misfits to stop Ronan, the accuser of wielding the Power Stone, who is keen on destroying entire planets, including the homeworld of Peter. The group would then go on to become a team like no other, with each of them having their own goals in life, but becoming one when they finally destroy Ronan and wield one of the Infinity Stones. A few months in advance, we can see Peter still falling for Gamora, a time in his life when he must confront the mysteries of his past and come face to face with his father for the first time in his life, Ego, who is a godlike entity and lives on a planet he made himself. In the process of trying to preserve the planet, Ego needs his son to fill in the shoes and the two to become one, just because of the connection they have, and Peter being the one offspring Ego successfully made throughout the galaxy, and all of his other children simply a failure. Yondu, not the father he wanted, but the one he needed, sacrificed his life for Peter and defeated Ego for good. Created by Tony Stark, Ultron becomes the virus that attacks Jarvis, Tony's AI, and takes the matter into his own hands, which also brings the Avengers to the scene, with the mission to destroy Ultron, who has a different definition of peace in the world: total destruction, a reboot of the world, so to speak. The battle introduced new Avengers who would go on to become a mainstay: the Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and Vision, who would all contribute to the defeat of every single robotic version of Ultron. A cat burglar becomes the next Ant-Man when Scott Lang is recruited by Hank Pym in order to stop the technology from being weaponized, as former prodigy Darren Cross recreated the technology in the form of a yellow jacket suit, who Ant-Man must battle him and save the day on the smallest scale imaginable. A battle which also gives us the first look into the quantum realm, where New Then is the place where Hank's wife is stuck after shrinking to the smallest of margins, way beyond the restrictions. A bombing of a UN session brings all Avengers back into play. However, as more details are discovered, the game becomes split into 2 teams. On one side, Captain America trying to save his buddy Bucky Barnes, and on the other side, Iron Man, who wants to catch Bucky and make him pay for his crimes, as he is the one who plants the bomb in the first place, but only after he gets his brain meddled with. 2 new heavy hitters are added to the list in the form of Black Panther and the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, for the first time now as part of the MCU after being called upon by Iron Man himself. Web Slinger makes his debut as he faces Vulture, who is involved in the black market and wants to get his hands on Stark's equipment after being moved from one place to another. He is a scavenger as well, as he has taken part in recovering technology from the New York battle, and Peter Parker is here to stop him, while also dealing with all the usual problems every teenager has during his freshman year in high school. However, he is not alone. Tony is there to guide him and serve as his mentor through all of it. A world-class surgeon, Stephen Strange, is an unsufferable person to deal with before a tragic accident takes away the use of his hands, after which he travels the world in search of a cure for his hands, which is when he stumbles upon Kamar Taj, a place of mystic arts, where he finds the answer of his problems in the form of some ancient magic. He becomes the protector of the Eye of Agamotto, which is yet another one of the Infinity Stones, the Stone of Time, after he stops Caecilius from unleashing Dormammu, the destroyer of world in the real world from his dimension. The unbombing kills T'Challa's father, and he goes back to Wakanda to be named the king. And the first thing that he is confronted with is the isolation policy Wakanda follows to protect itself and not let any of its technology and resources be exploited by the cruel world around them. T'Challa is also faced with a mistake from his father's past in the form of Eric Killmonger, who has come out to Wakanda to take the throne, as it is rightfully his as the older of the two. But his different ideas about Wakanda and how he thinks the place should be run eventually are his downfall, as he is killed by Black Panther himself, watching the sunset. The death of his father and the destruction of Mjolnir by his long-lost sister Hela hurl Thor across space, with him eventually finding himself put in a gladiator arena with a friend from work, Bruce Banner's Hulk, not seen since the Avengers defeated Ultron, who is the champion there. But the long time past seems like erased Hulk's perception, and it takes some time to get his memories back inside with Thor. Together with Loki and Valkyrie, who are both on the planet Sakaar, the group finds their way to Asgard, where Hela is ruling right now. Finding no other way to stop her, Thor releases Surtur, the end of Asgard, hence RAGNAROK, the end of the world in Norse mythology, with Thor and the people of Asgard traveling back to Earth, where new Asgard is formed. In exile, Black Widow Natasha Romanoff, after the events of Civil War, we get to see some of her old friends as she explores her past, which also includes Red Guardian, Soviet Union's Captain America, with them being faced by the Taskmaster, who tries to stop them as they are about to unveil one of the biggest secrets as to where Natasha comes from. New character is introduced, Lena Belova, Natasha's sister, who has also been trained at the same school, the Red Room, just like Natasha. The culmination of everything before, and the orchestral take by Thanos to find all Infinity Stones, comes to an end as he decides to get them himself, with the only thing standing in his way, the Avengers. He has spread across the universe before arriving on Earth, where the rest of the Infinity Stones are at. What raises the stakes even higher is the reason for him collecting all of the 6 stones, wiping out half of the life on all universes to make the world a better place of living for generations to come. A mild genocide, which is random. Snapping with his fingers, just like that, he erases half of any living thing in the universe, including some of the Avengers. Leaving the universe in total chaos, the Avengers, who are still, presumably alive, try to find a way and make things right, bringing everyone back after they learn that there is a chance their plan might work. After 5 years from the snap, a slim chance emerges that puts them all together. Iron Man and Captain America make their peace, with the entire team going on a time travel mission in the past to gather all of the Infinity Stones for themselves and undo the snap, bring everyone back. However, they are faced with Thanos from an alternate timeline, who complicates things, but is eventually defeated by the combined forces of everyone brought back after 5 long years. Following these events, we can see the most tragic character in the MCU, Wanda Maximoff, isolating herself, creating an entirely new reality at a small town in New Jersey, where she has a happy life with Vision still alive there. They even have 2 kids. However, not everything goes as planned. Wanda's alternate reality always gets invaded by people from the outside, and Agatha Harkness from the inside. By the end of things, we can see Wanda yet again moving away from everything she knows and continuing on with her life as a loner outside of the real world in the MCU, with the events of Westview, the place she created, making the start of Phase 4 in the MCU. An organization known as the Flag Masters emerges, got their hands on some sort of a super soldier serum, just like the one that made Steve Rogers into Captain America, and his buddies Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes team up to take on this new threat. The pair also has to deal with the newly appointed wielder of Captain S.H.I.E.L.D., John Walker, who was appointed by the government to replace Steve Rogers. A chain of events unfolds, and by the end of things, we see that Sam is the one who takes the shield in the status of Captain America, with Walker becoming the US agent character, and Bucky there to help things out. The first real look post-Infinity War is given from Peter Parker's standpoint, as we see everyone who is snapped brought back to life, including Peter, who heads to Europe on a field trip from school, only for him to be surprised by Nick Fury and Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio, who needs help fighting the elementals that he created in the first place to expose Spider-Man's identity and steal some Stark technology in the process. Taking place 8 months after everyone was brought back, we see the creation of the Eternals, who were created in order to protect humans from evil beings known as deviants. The earliest timeline glimpse is also showcased, the first time the Eternals have landed on Earth, and their journey towards the emergence, which will wipe out the entire planet in order for a new celestial to be born. A conflict emerges between them that makes them choose sides. Let a celestial be born and all humans sacrificed, or stop the emergence with their combined powers, which is ultimately what happens. Now, the MCU has a frozen celestial head and part of a palm in the ocean. The MCU finally gave us the real Mandarin, and it was his son Shang-Chi who had to be the one and end the life of his father after being brought back to him after such a long time away from him. Preparing him to be the next successor, Shang-Chi saw the ways of his father rather challenging and unethical, so he took the matter into his own hands and joined the real and the mystical world together. Everything needed to defeat his father, who was consumed by the fact that he could bring his dead wife to the land of living by the calling he received, which was actually just a mental thing from the Dweller of the Deep. Picking from where we last saw Peter Parker, his identity revealed by Mysterio to the whole world is a huge change for the character, with Peter going straight to Doctor Strange and doing a spell that would make everyone forget who is the one hiding behind the Spider-Man mask, including his friends and family. But nothing is ever easy with Doctor Strange, as the multiverse becomes wide open, and if the sacrifice from Peter didn't come, the world of the MCU would never be the same, with the movie bringing the other Spider-Man versions to the MCU from the previous movies, which were the ones that helped him do what he needs to be done. The return of Hawkeye was one of the latest things happening in the MCU, in his own series, who was tasked with erasing everything connected to the Ronin character, his time after the snap from Thanos, which was going on for 5 years. That saw him taking down people around the world in some kind of revenge for his family. Kate Bishop made her debut in the series and was the one to stumble upon the Ronin costume, which draws Hawkeye to her, along with all the bad guys after him. The two reluctantly team up to cover up Hawkeye's time as Roman once and for all, with everything happening around Christmas in 2024, the present time of the MCU.
We like that. There are arrows more dangerous than that one?
And don't worry, we haven't forgotten the God of Mischief. We just don't know where to put him in everything, especially with the Loki series, which bounced between the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD and an apocalypse hitting Alabama in 2050. Events seem to be happening outside of any timeline itself, with the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, working in a different kind of way and setting. Events of the series seem to be happening throughout the entire timeline of the MCU, which is also the reason why we are placing them last. However, they are not for nothing, as it brought to us He Who Remains, a not-so-evil Kang variant, who is shaping up to be the big baddie by the end of Phase 4 of the MCU.
It's actually your last chance. Now get out of my way.
On a related note, tell us down in the comments below, what are your thoughts on the MCU timeline? Which part of it would you say was the best setting for you? And where would you like to see the MCU go in the future? And also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you would like to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.